We were going to be fine.
Good evening. I want to welcome everyone to our Wellness Subcommittee meeting. And on the agenda tonight, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And we're going to have the K-5 curriculum presentation by Jody.
Thank you all so much. So I'm here to present, just to review the NK policy on curriculum review and updating is to gather a team together. We have done that team. I can share with you who was on the team in a moment. And then part of the Health and Wellness Committee policy is to make recommendations regarding the district health education curriculum and instruction. That's why we're here tonight. And the timeline of where we are in 2014 was the last time that the health curriculum was updated. That was slightly delayed due to COVID. We also were waiting for RIDE to update their curriculum health framework, which was released in 2022. We then convened that spring the health curriculum team. At that point, it was determined that we would move forward with 6 through 12 only at that point. So in the fall, we had a health curriculum team for 6 through 12. In December, we brought in community partners to that meeting and reviewed curriculums. We had an open forum last February for the 6 through 12 health curriculum adoption. And in May, we went to the Health and Wellness Committee, and finally, it was approved by school committee. So October to December of this year, this school year, we've been convening the K-5 health curriculum committee meeting, and in January we presented, but we are back again with more of an open forum format to present the curriculum that the team has decided on for your approval. A reminder to all that in the state legislation there are 3 opt-outs, and letters go home to families prior to these 3 areas. The areas are sexuality and family life, HIV and AIDS, and the characteristic symptoms or treatment of disease. So in the past with K-5, health topics were covered by classroom teachers, school nurse teacher, and integration with PE, although there was not a standard curriculum or time allotment. We are moving forward to the future with this adoption to have an additional health class taught by a certified health teacher, to standardize the curriculum through this adoption process, and to be up to the 100-minute average compliance, which is regulated by state regulations for 100 minutes of PE and health, and to have a spiraling curriculum that covers all standards. This K-12 larger health curriculum document, sorry, I was scrolling away. Is that super tiny there? Yes, it is. This document that is still in draft just goes over the 6 through 12 health committee members and community advisory team, as well as the K-5 health committee members. That includes parents as well, and goes through some preamble kind of discussion, which are basically around Rhode Island's approach to health education, with links out to the national health standards, which Rhode Island built their health standards around. The main thing when they changed the frameworks, they stretched them out till 8, and it definitely includes more of an approach to include health for the whole child, including social and emotional needs of children. It does specifically call out some of the topics that need to be covered in your K-12 health curriculum. And all of the state policies, which there are many. Most of these apply to 6 through 12 only, and they are in their framework documents. We have links out to all of the state legislated mandated topics that must be covered. There are many of them. It does make reference to the state Safe School Act and the bullying policy. And then this is the previous work that was done with the 6 through 12 committee. All of the links here to the scope and sequence for each grade so that parents know which specific lessons are being taught out of ETR, which is the adopted curriculum for 6 through 12.
Is that finished?
It is. And then we also have the scope and sequence documents for K to 5. This is linking out to our suggested curriculum adoption, which I'm going to go over in a moment, which is the Great Body Shop, and we have listed out all of the specific lessons we'll be using. The interesting thing about the Great Body Shop, which is after looking at 2 different programs we are recommending because of its high student engagement and grade level appropriateness, it's kind of like, for those of you who may be familiar with a Scholastic Reader, it comes as a monthly newsletter where students would all have a set in the classroom, and the teacher would read through certain articles around a certain topic. The way the curriculum company presents this, there is 4 lessons, 1 a week, that would be covered in this monthly newsletter, if you will, for students to go through, and also a family letter that goes home. These are consumable. They would go home at the end of the lesson. Our hope this year is to at least get through 1 of these lessons. So this is the document behind me, is what the K to 5 PE and health teachers have gone through. They've identified which specific lesson of the 4 they would like to cover in the first year, so that we can be very detailed with what's going to be taught in every child's classroom. So a few of the things, the 2 curriculums that we looked at were the Great Body Shop and Healthy Lifestyle Choices. Both are aligned to Rhode Island health standards. There was a little bit difference of flexibility of how they could be taught, but both had a family info sheet, print and digital materials. The Great Body Shop has an embedded family life component, whereas Healthy Lifestyle Choices does not. The good thing about the Great Body Shop is it's updated yearly because it is a living kind of consumable thing. And Healthy Lifestyle Choices has not been updated since 2018. The team that convened felt that the Great Body Shop was the better option. It has more choices of subjects and subtopics. There's better coverage of national standards, includes things like food safety, lots of diverse subject matter. We like that the family life was included so that all students would be getting the exact same materials. Visually easier to digest. As you can see, it's very colorful and engaging for students, similar to Scholastic News, that it's updated. There's a teacher guide that reinforces with reinforcement activities. We did consider that it is text heavy, although when you look at the different grade level samples that I have, you'll definitely see that it's grade appropriate for grades 1, 3, and 5, which are the samples we have. You can see that the text develops with students as their reading skills develop. The Healthy Lifestyles choices, again, it was easy instruction, but it's limited materials. There's no handouts or workbook. Everything would be projected. It was activity-based. We were concerned about the copyright and how often it would get updated, and people just felt like it wasn't as engaging. So, I can definitely pass around the samples. I have a grade 1 sample. A grade 3. There you go. And a grade 5, so we can have a conversation. And if there's any specific, I'll put that scope and sequence back up. If there's any specific lessons, I can definitely call them up. Obviously, like a Scholastic Reader, though, because it comes monthly, we don't have all of the resources at once. It's very different than a different curriculum where you get everything up front, and maybe a textbook or something. This definitely has a different flavor to it. So we do have access to all of the lessons that have been, that are digital. We just don't have hard copies of everything because of how it would be shipped out. Yeah.
Is that posted on the website, or is that still
No.
embedded in the thing?
It's
embedded in the.
It's embedded in the PowerPoint, which links to the
That whole
this document.
And then you have to go find the NKSD.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to suggestions of better places to put it if there's an easier place. We just,
I don't know, I would think an individual link right to the K through 5 and 6 through 12 would be helpful.
off the homepage where the curriculum is located?
I don't know, I'd have to look. I mean, I've had trouble with some of the links before and they're embedded. I'll have to see if I can actually open it.
Does anyone have any questions or any specific lessons that they want to see that may not be?
I'd like to see the puberty one for
Sure.
grade 5.
So that's 5062. So this is the, that is that. Is that it? This is the student material for this. Can you read that? Is that? I think there was a printout below. Did you not get that at the last one?
Would anyone else
Okay.
like a copy of this?
Yeah, or they just give people go up to look at, it's hard,
Sure.
you can't see anything from back here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay,
Or
so either,
print-
yeah, if you have it printed.
I can, let me just, I'll run it.
Is there any link between this K through 5 curriculum and the 6 through 12 curriculum?
No, different companies.
How do they align?
I mean, they align by the health standards. All of them are written to the national health standards, so they're going to spiral through the standards.
And are they teaching this with the whole class at the same time, or are they, I mean, I believe when my 5th grader went through 5th grade, this lesson they did the boys and they did the girls. I thought we did them separately. Do you know how this is gonna look in the classroom? Is it taught together? I mean, it's one
Has it
brochure.
been
so
taught
you're-
together in the past?
Like, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I
Yeah, I
thought
mean,
mine
it's
were
always
long.
been taught together, you know, the basic
So Colleen Schnack,
lesson.
sorry, I should have introduced as our.
Hi, I'm Colleen Schnack, so I've been teaching this for 23 years, both 1st and 5th grade. And historically, it's always been taught together, the males and the females in the room together. And then we split them up and have like an all-girl lesson and an all-boy lesson. So then they have, you know, the opportunity to learn a little bit more about their own bodies and feel more comfortable about asking questions. But you would be surprised, even in these co-educational classes, the boys and girls are asking questions.
Yeah, but is that the intent for this as well, that it would be taught together and then it would be broken
I
up?
think that would come up from up above. I mean, you know, why has it always been taught this way? I don't know, when I came 23 years ago, that was the philosophy that they wanted, both boys and girls together and learning together.
Yeah.
If that philosophy changes, you know, then we would do it differently, but.
This is the second page of the same thing, so it's going into hygiene and just maturing as a part of growing up, don't sweat it, taking care of acne. is some bullying around it, peer pressure around maturing.
Jody, is this the first time, this is not the first time bullying comes up, correct? I thought I
No,
saw it.
yeah, no.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Jody, and I think we don't have the materials right now, correct? So
Correct.
we're gonna continue doing what we're doing.
For this
What we have
year.
been doing for this year, and then next year, we'll be using the materials.
Correct.
Okay.
Jody, can I just ask a question? So that's horrible teeth picture. For the smoking one, if anybody wants to take a look, page 4, so the first section is the student thing, and then this next part is the teacher.
Oh, on the
guide,
copies I
and-
made,
yeah,
you've got
yeah.
what the handout that comes
Yeah.
looks like, and then the teacher,
Yeah.
the
And then
teacher notes.
that last page is the thing that goes home,
No, it's on the back of the student, it's called the family bulletin, so it's the last
Oh,
page
okay.
of all of
Oh,
the
okay,
handouts
okay.
that
Oh,
go
okay.
through.
And this is something like the teacher would have them do.
Correct, the handout that goes with the lesson. the
Because this
accompanying
one
lesson.
says, dear families, that's why I got
Oh.
confused. The one on grade 1.
Okay,
But that's the only reason I
it may be a
asked.
supplemental.
Okay. It probably
That goes home.
depends from packet to packet. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding it correctly. I looked at that one first and then just applied it to all the.
Yeah, I mean, there is a family bulletin associated with
Yeah.
that grade 1 as well.
Yeah,
Oh, this kind of makes sense, because they're probably thinking,
yeah.
like
In
a
this
homework
particular,
assignment.
in this particular one, that makes sense, but it's not consistent in that page is a.
So and I can also go
Yeah,
The
to,
homework.
yeah, that you're probably assuming that in first grade, your parents will still do the homework with you, but if they're like,
Yeah, yeah.
you're on your own.
Yeah. Yes, I think you're exactly right.
You know what I
It's a
mean?
homework assignment.
Yeah.
And this one, they can't.
that goes
Which
to
one is this, hidden sugar?
Hidden sugar.
I like this one.
Extra junk.
Jody, what was the sending signals that you just went past?
No, there's there's just names of them. One of them's called sending signals. What does that mean? Do you know or you don't know?
on this document,
Yeah.
tell me what, do you know, what grade?
Number 2.
Grade,
5th grade, number
Oh,
2.
yeah.
fifth grade,
Second.
5022. Sorry, we got this lovely little code thing going on.
I watch it.
It's around your central nervous system.
Oh, okay, so it's about like your brain sending signals?
Yep, I can open the teacher guide, which would be more helpful probably. 502, the second lesson. So name the different parts of the central nervous system, explain how they work, develop respect for the way the brain receives information.
Cool.
Let me go back to that. That's-
This might be, I'm just curious, it's a question of curiosity. Do you know if they make any versions where the family
Bulletin?
bulletin
Yeah,
is in other languages for
Yes.
children who have parents don't speak?
There,
other
I know that Spanish is one of them. I think it was limited, but there is a Spanish edition of this.
If you look at one of the pages, I don't know if it's in the grade 1, but it said, oh no, I thought, maybe it was in one of the other ones. I thought I saw it somewhere where it was more than just Spanish.
So would the district support like getting a duplicate, so the child was learning English in the classroom, and then the duplicate in Spanish would go home, or how would that, or would it depend?
We could, I need some additional resources. Yeah, Spanish, French, Spanish and French.
So is it as easy, could a teacher go in and just print, like if they knew
Yep.
they needed 3 Spanish copies or whatever, just print it out and just give it to the child without?
Oh, that would be easy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Make
yeah,
it
yeah,
be
yeah.
like,
Yes, you don't have to get a whole set for doing another language.
I wanted to interrupt really quickly, and I should have done this off the top, and I apologize for that, but I want to introduce Debbie Lucasco. She's our new school committee member, and she's also the new co-chair of our health and wellness committee,
Thank you.
along with Trish. So, Debbie, I apologize for not introducing you.
They're just so excited about the
We
group.
were.
I was gonna double back to that, but.
We just want to make sure we introduce Debbie, welcome her to our group, and say thank you for being a part of it.
Thank you. Thank you, Trish.
I think there's pages missing in this,
yeah, I think the
because it only
pages will
focuses
say.
on the field.
Oh, no.
Or maybe
It might have been a back-to-back.
Yeah, I think it was back to back, because it's every other page that's missing. But no issue, I just wanted to make sure.
I have the mail page, so if anyone wants to see it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it was also covering the mails.
Yep, no, it is.
What other pages? Is it every other page or all of that? Or just the mail?
Well, we're missing
Okay.
The backside.
I bought it, and I had bought it, and because of the lesson, now they're like, they were like, oh, I want it. So whatever, all the teacher taught it, we made them want it too. Like, do it. I was like, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everyone's starting. But I had a lot, but some of my moms were like, like I do this.
Yeah. No, we have more.
Here's an exam, it's like a, yeah.
Yeah. But, I know, it's like,
Let them, right. Relax and
Jody, would teachers have access to like a Spanish version?
Yeah, they'll have access to the portal, so they will. I do have a kindergarten, another grade 1.
So they keep this too, or?
They will take it home.
They're
Yep,
take them
yep,
home.
they're consumables.
yeah, I kind of like that, because I feel like they, like now, my kids in 5th grade, like I don't, like they're not bringing anything home about it, so this is kind of,
it would be nice if they were 3 hole punch, so they could be put in a little binder, because sometimes kids might want to return to some of those. Like, you know,
Actual.
you know, like
Sure.
they make the body books for kids, and like sometimes they'll look at the parts when they're ready to and want to. The plastic news doesn't last that long there, it didn't last that long in our house, but I would think like the puberty one in particular, my kids might have said like, they put it somewhere and would want to return to it when they, or had a question.
So this presentation right is on the website?
It is.
I found it under the families part.
It's also, it should be on every school homepage under news. That scrolling thing that is the homepage of every building, sorry, is it school?
yeah, I know what you meant.
I'm like, sorry.
The presentation,
she's shopping it on the NKSD website.
Yeah.
So is it really like a parent could go in ahead of time and look at it if they wanted to? Or no,
No, parents won't have access to the portal.
not the portal, okay.
No. I mean, that's a paid license thing that would be
Okay.
licensed to teachers is typically how that's handled, because it's all copyrighted information that
Right. that you don't
is a
have to
revenue, is a
copy.
product
Yes.
that we're not allowed, that's why we buy consumables, you know, because it's all copyrighted.
That's great.
That's free.
Yeah.
But the teachers will have the extras that would, like, will have them in hand before they teach it. Right.
They will, yes.
So like if a parent was trying to decide whether to opt in or opt out of a lesson, because there's 3 topics that they can opt in or out of, would they be allowed to like look at the material ahead of
We
time?
could go on,
for
I mean-
the teacher, like,
What we had to do for this, these are all legal screenshots, but we were able to, you know, to get a sample to you,
Yeah.
but a teacher would have access to a portal if a parent wanted to come in and see
come in
a
and see
specific
it,
lesson.
To make a
Sure.
decision. like,
Of course.
a decision.
Yep.
Seems like that makes it easier for families who are nervous to make a decision.
Sure, to see the materials, of course.
Most of the time, they just want, they want to talk to the nurse and have a conversation. I mean, I'm sure they could go in, we haven't had materials in years, so we kind of made up our own materials, but, most of the time, they just want to ask questions and.
Yeah, but as long as they give enough notice, because like last year I got a week's notice for my kid's 5th grade puberty lesson.
Where was that?
Hamilton, and I think you weren't there or you were out or something.
No, I'm not the nurse at
Oh,
Hamilton,
yeah.
but I ended up delivering the lesson.
Right, so we got a
Yeah.
week's notice and we had to show up to the school during business
Ah.
hours. I mean, that's not very family oriented.
Yeah, it's usually a couple of weeks, to allow for.
I mean, to be
questions.
honest, and I brought this up, and I do feel the problem's been corrected, but this is the first year I've ever gotten a letter about opting out for my
Really?
children. So, that's a process, and it did get addressed this year, and I feel
Yeah.
good about it being fixed in the future.
Mhm.
But it is not easy or transparent about opting out
Okay.
in the past.
Okay, and that's just with the school that your kids.
My kids have been at 3 different schools.
Well, I can tell you I've always sent hard copies home, so, you know.
But middle school, I've never gotten a
Oh.
letter until this year, for the first year. So I'm just saying, it's just
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
process that could use
Sure.
tweaking and improving.
Colleen, does that letter come from you typically?
The letter originally came from the superintendent's office.
Okay.
When I first started, because we had both scope and sequence, and it had to be taught in January. So it was just one letter, it was very, very basic, and then it got to the point where there wasn't, there wasn't a sequence. January is the worst time to teach any health ed for us, because we're so busy in the clinic with illnesses and, I mean, it's just, it's just so busy. So we were kind of moving it further and further, and so, we'd have a window in one school, and it was like, okay, let's teach it, send out the, so eventually, I mean, the letters, I all say the same thing, because they all reference, the regulations, the state regs, and talk about, how they can opt out. But we found that the more information we put in the letter, the better the parents liked it, because, they say, well, what are you teaching, and so, especially 1st grade, we'd say, okay, well, bulletin, we're teaching this, and that was fine for some parents, other parents still wanted more information. So the letters are generally the same, they come out now from the nurse at each school, because when we're gonna teach it, there's no sense in sending out a letter in January, and then you're not teaching it until April. And again, that can be changed. If this administration wants to change things, just let us know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, my whole thing is consistency, you know what I mean? That's the most important, is that we have a consistent process, that doesn't matter what school it is, and that it's just reliable, consistent. And that it's not like a thing that's dependent on, one individual school having something in place, so.
Yeah, we're all teaching generally the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a PowerPoint that I developed myself years ago. Some of the nurses didn't like, they just didn't like the PowerPoint, and they had, like the same kinds of slides, but they did it a different way, or they, maybe now that we have a curriculum with, you know, materials, it can be a little
Yep.
easier.
More unified, yeah.
Yeah, and we can talk about that, just to make sure, you know what I mean, we're all on the same page. You know, I think there should be, obviously, administration has a role too.
Yep.
You know,
And
shouldn't
all,
just-
all the nurses on the elementary level know that these letters need to go out in both first grade and fifth grade.
Mhm.
And they have access to those letters.
Would it be terrible to send the letters out always at the same time every year, so the
That's
parents
what I'm
would
thinking.
expect, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I know in whatever,
Or-
month,
Yeah, I
whether,
think
it
it just,
doesn't really matter when you teach it, but if you're expecting that this is the month that I would get something to opt my kid out, so I like know in my head it's always
Could it be
October.
part of that, could it be part of the Aspen, like, when, in the beginning of the year, like, I mean, if you, could that be, you know, you're giving photo permission, do you opt out as part of one of your Aspen
I think personally, I think this should be more of a,
communicative?
its own thing, I think so.
Because Aspen doesn't really, it's hard to.
No,
do.
no,
Yeah.
yeah.
And knowing what grades to expect
Oh,
the
that too,
opt-outs,
like-
Yeah.
because like it's very specific and I don't have the grades memorized that I can opt out my kids for certain things, like you do, but we as parents, like, that's not common knowledge that
Yeah.
I can opt my kids out, or I should only expect a letter these years, like, that should be made clearer too.
Yeah,
So what is it beyond first and fifth? Eighth, like what other grades can you opt out? Is it 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? Like, what grades can we opt out? This is where I
Yeah.
think there's some lack of information, communication, and could be some clarity, because I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
I've been expecting a letter and I don't have the letter because there's nothing to opt out this year, but how would I know that?
Yeah.
So that could definitely use some clarification.
Yes, maybe even just a general letter that goes out that says to every parent.
Yeah, or in
These
every
are the-
handbook, why not in the handbook? Health, like, you should get opt-out letters first,
Yeah, or
sixth,
so, yeah.
fifth,
Yeah.
whatever the rest of the grades are. Because I don't know if there's stuff in every 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
I think we would then have to send out another
Eight,
letter
eleven,
when they
eight,
want
eight,
to teach
yeah.
it though. I'm just saying.
What's that?
I think we would then need to send out another notice when we're
Yeah.
about
Oh, I
to teach
agree,
it though.
I agree. I
Yeah.
don't think you can
Because that's what they
under-notify.
really want to know is when are you teaching?
Correct.
I'm thinking, I'm imagining like having like a, just like an internal calendar of sorts, you know what I mean? That we have like, that has this going like, all right, in different months of the year, at different grade levels, whether it's elementary, middle, high school, you know, what letter is going out. So it might be a blanket letter at the beginning of the year to everybody, okay? Just explaining what we're talking about here, like these are the opt-out years, so to speak, or the topics, whatever it might be. And then the more specific ones would go at different times depending on the grade level, you know, like,
And what you're teaching.
and what they're teaching. So like, it would be like, all right, January, this is what needs to go on.
What are your thoughts on it going in the handbook?
Like, just in general, like,
Because
health,
I
like,
don't deal with the handbook so much.
you know, you opt-out years for health are first, fifth, whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, like something basic.
I wouldn't be against it. I just think the handbook, I have no problem with it going in the
No, I'm
handbook.
just-
I think the handbook is a big document and, you know, I mean,
Fair enough. But
as a
it's
parent
like,
myself, I think that
I
the
think you
expectation
can't put
to,
it too many places,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
How about too, like, you know how each school has the calendar
Yeah.
of like, whatever, the PTO, what if it was like, here's the opt-out, grade 1, opt-out health, whatever the date is that you have to, a parent has to opt out?
Yeah.
Because I think the parents look at, do you know what I'm talking about, the scroll calendar in each school?
Yeah, I agree with that. I still think though that as
I think all the
parents,
other
they need
stuff,
to
I mean, that
get.
would just be an extra,
Yeah.
like, so say you got the email, but then you're looking on the calendar to see what events are going on, and you're like, oh, I forgot about that.
Well, I think one of the
Or
things I think one of the things we can do just to start is just kind of get a clear idea of like what system we currently use. You know what I mean, across schools, across grade levels. So we can have that conversation around consistency there and see where we're at, and that can be a little jumping off point, if you will, to kind of see where our gaps are and where we need to, yeah.
Honestly, I think it would be good to have it in the handbook, so it's there.
Yeah.
and then have in the handbook something that says, see monthly calendar. This way, in case dates get changed or somebody's out and we couldn't do it that week, we do it the next week. And it'll also prepare you as a parent for when your kid comes home and says, Mom, did you know I'm gonna get my period Monday? That you're not like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like, you just correlate it back to.
And we can have healthy conversations with our kids.
Right, right.
That's great.
Any other questions or specific lessons that anyone wants to see?
Was the one that you all had worked on for the older students, do they not do a K through 5?
They do. It was determined that we were looking for something a little bit more engaging and grade level appropriate. So that wasn't one of the two that we did the final date for.
Is that typical though that certain companies, you know?
Do better, do
more
one grade
toward,
span
like-
better than another? Yeah, that's why we
Yeah, like, you
have.
know, for each grade, because I feel like it's an
Yeah,
extreme.
we have Wit and Wisdom for K to 5 and EL through 6 through 8 because they offer different things, so. Sometimes as long as they're similar enough and they're covering the standards in a way that's appropriate, then.
It's my understanding at Fishing Cove, we have pre-K.
Correct.
Are we gonna introduce that into the pre-K environment there, or simply stay with K through?
This program, I don't believe has a pre-K. I would have to check with Jackie DiLorenzo, the pre-K coordinator, to see what they typically use, or if they even cover health topics. I'm sure they cover hand washing and basic hygiene
Right.
things, but I don't know if they use it different. They use a creative, it's called creative curriculum, and I'd have to see if there are health embedded topics in that.
And Jackie's actually on the committee, but she just couldn't leave it this evening.
So how do they make it in the system? You didn't
No,
repeat
yes.
Either, so.
Yeah.
Or I should say not every kid.
Yeah. Any other questions from anyone in the audience that wants to see a specific lesson?
So can you just confirm for everybody what the next steps are, Jody?
So after getting your recommendation to move forward to this, we would go to the school committee for a recommendation to move forward with this curriculum adoption.
The wellness subcommittee has already
Yeah,
made
we
their
already did.
recommendation.
They have, right.
So the next step is to go to the. It's been a long, long.
It has been. I didn't know if we were going to vote again, or I wasn't sure what we were doing tonight, but yeah, definitely,
Okay.
yes.
So you get to hear it 3 times.
What's that?
How
You can
how
hear
is
it
this
a third time.
advertised through K through 5 parents? How is this?
This event?
This event tonight advertised?
It was in every school's newsletter. It was put on the website. It was posted obviously through the regular, health and wellness postings. But I know it was multiple times repeated in the school newsletters.
It was vigorously promoted.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was,
Yeah.
I don't have a K through 5, so, or I didn't see, I saw 0 of that, because I don't have a K through 5. So,
No, we heard the feedback and we vigorously promoted it.
yeah, well, that's all you can do.
Yep.
And I'm glad you did, whether anyone showed up or not.
That representative, I saw it in the email. I
Yeah,
didn't know what you were talking about. It sounded like something I should attend. I was like, I guess I'm going.
Do you want to officially vote again? No.
We already did. Yeah. I don't see why we would have done that.
Are there any other agenda items, or?
No, there are no other agenda items. Any comments from you? No?
Thank you. Continue good work.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
I
Oh.
Two ways, you don't have to say, next way it goes.
Sure, you do.